What is going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 57. I am your host, Marcus. And in this episode, we're talking about your ideal year. Yes, it is that time of year again where we would like to make New Year's resolutions. And how are you going to make this year different from any other year? And this is what's truly important. This is why I have my channel and try to show you as opposed to just telling you, because a lot of times I felt like I come across in the fashion that I try to tell more than to show, and I do a lot of work behind the scenes, and I try to put that on my Instagram so you guys can see what I am doing all the time and see the changes that I'm trying to make. Now, not everything is easy. A lot of things can be a grind, but to make your ideal year, you really have to have desire for what it is that you want. And a lot of times I think we pick specific things because we don't really know what we want. Yes, we'd love to lose weight. Yes, we'd love to start a new book. Yes, we'd love to go out and have a new job or start a business or do all these other different things. But we ultimately do it for the wrong intentions, do it for the wrong meaning, and understand that certain things are going to require a lifestyle change. And you have to come into it with a mentality that, you know what, this year I'm just going to go in there, kick ass, and take names. And that's how I'm going to do it. And that's how you have to approach life, is by being on the offensive and realizing that if you are offensive on your approach to going after the thing that you want, you attain the things that you want, as opposed to sitting back and waiting. And a lot of times I talk about try to strategize and how strategy works to an extent, but ultimately you're going to have to change a lot of different things on the fly. And this is how you essentially stay motivated, because you're going to have to find things. You're going to have to look for new information that helps motivate you in that desire to want to do it. And this is why this year, in my last episode, I really talked about going with essentially your instinct, right? Going with that natural feeling inside that makes you wonder, makes you curious about something, that drives your interest in going with that. And when you follow this instinct, you start becoming more happier. So a lot of times we try to project into the year about, well, I like this and I like that. And, I'd really like to achieve these things, but there is no desire there. And so this year, what I really want you to do is to go out and seek the curiosity, go out and be what your instincts are telling you to be. And by doing this, you find out that you create your ideal year through something you didn't even realize was something that you wanted to do. Or perhaps it was something that you had in yourself. Maybe it was art, like myself. Maybe it was playing a musical instrument. Maybe it was writing. Maybe it was starting a blog. Maybe it was starting a business in calisthenics or something else along those lines, right? It's finding what you're curious about, what you're passionate about, where you get up and lose sense of time and self. And again, one of the biggest things I can recommend here when you follow this is, I've always taught, I haven't really talked about it, but I start talking about it more, is my love for art. I've always loved art. And no matter the different styles, yes, I like some art more than others, but ultimately I just love art in general. I love the creative aspect that people bring to the table. And I've always loved that as a kid. And growing up, I never thought I could make a living off of it. And I am trying to create something this upcoming year that allows me to explore that and bring my artistic side, my creative side, more to the forefront, and try to really expand that. And to be able to do that, I would have known through other avenues, particularly with NFTs, that has allowed me to explore that and being creative and just learning to see what it brings out in yourself, and then picking up that passion again and finding that I'm losing sense of time and self, and I just get caught up in the moment of creating and diving deep in and thinking about every little detail on whatever it is I am creating is just astonishing and amazing. And then you realize like half your day is passed but you're like, man, I've created something really cool, really interesting, really fun. And for myself, I've always been that way. Like I like cool, interesting, and fun. And something that you enjoy, right? That's got a little bit of an edge to it because I like having that edge, but also having fun. And I think that's what we all want. We all want that edge. We all want to have fun. But to be able to do that, to be able to have an exciting year, you have to go out and go along with that curiosity, go along with your intuition, and seeing what that is. And a lot of times we fail to do this by living through other people's lives. So you have other people that are telling you that whatever you're doing is not the correct way to live. Maybe that is directly or maybe that is indirectly, but ultimately, people think you should live, and we have this standard in our life that we have to abide by, and they're slowly starting to see that change. But we have to ultimately understand that you want to be in a place where you are happiest, and you don't want to live in a place, you're not going to have the year of your life when you are living through someone else's desires and dreams of you, because even them themselves may have been lost along the process and lost their dreams and desires along the way, because they felt every time they tried that they got let down some way, shape, or form. And it's not saying that if you just follow your intuition that it's just all going to be hunky-dory, because that's not at all what it is. But realize that you're doing it for the passion, that you like the process of what you are doing, and that it's truly enlightening to yourself, and you feel happiest when you're here. Because I've always talked about how, happiness is just a state of mind. Flow is a state of mind. Being motivated, all this is a state of mind. And to be able to do this, you have to constantly find whatever it is that is you're naturally drawn to, that you naturally lose yourself in. And that is where you want to be. And this is how you make your year, is by doing it and then learning more about it and realizing that there are different aspects. And also why I talk about following curiosity, because there's other different aspects. Yes, I love art, but ultimately I didn't get back into it until I really started getting NFTs. And NFTs was kind of one of those things where I was very standoffish at first. I understood the technology behind it and what it could possibly do, but I never thought, well, this could really be an opportunity for me to really cash in on something that I've really enjoyed. But I'm not talking about money in general. I'm talking about really take advantage of a skill that I've had essentially cooped up for so long, and really have passion for and really love doing. And again, something that I could do for hours on end, and don't get tired and really enjoy. And I've done a lot of different things like that. Talking about stock market, right? I love the stock market and talking about stock market and all that financial stuff, in companies, in quarterly earnings and stuff like that. It doesn't sound exciting at all. I know it didn't for me a while back, but this is also why I said you need to follow your curiosity, because you don't know until you immerse yourself in that particular moment. That is when you truly determine if that is something you enjoy. Now, if you do it and it feels painstakingly hard, and that's not saying that everything that you're doing isn't that way, because there are a lot of times, even with the stock market, even with art, where it's hard to, you lose that sense of creativity when it comes to art, or you perhaps get frustrated with the market because it's not going in your favor. There are different aspects of whatever passion that you have. They're going to come up. You have to realize that, but your passion has to come through stronger than the essential adversity that comes along with that, and realize that you can overcome a lot of different things, but you have to be willing to keep going with it and enjoy it and see what the ride brings. And this is how you essentially get to the points where your year, like my year, I've done a lot of different things that I never thought I would do, because a lot of people I thought would judge me on doing particular, taking particular actions that I feel they wouldn't understand. And a lot of people don't understand. When you start going into this mindset, people don't understand because it's different. People don't like different, but we are coming into society in which, different is more acceptable, right? That's not talking about all the other different things, because a lot of times, people may say one thing, but they still want you to do another thing. And this is why I say you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your idea, because it's only you that can see it. It's only you that does believe in it. even when other people don't. It's only you that can visualize it. And that is one of the biggest things I've always felt has really helped me, is being able to visualize what it is that you want and visualize what is possible. And a lot of times when I talk about instinct is you don't know but the next step. And so a lot of times you'll start something and you'll realize, well, okay, I like doing this, but how is this really going to help me, right? Like, how could I make a living off this? How could I do this and feel like I am actually getting somewhere with it? And you realize that um, once you immerse yourself in it, you start uncovering other different things that lead to other different things that open up other opportunities. And even for this past year, it wasn't until this late half of the year where I really started getting into art and getting into crypto really heavy on the NFT side, and coming across a community of people that really care. And I haven't really been in a community like that aside from like the military. And the military is one of those essentially communities. It was really hard to find anything like that, where you were essentially family. You weren't just coworkers, you were family. You not only worked together, but you hung out and you did essentially everything together. Goods, bads, indifference, you were always together. And I've come out of the military and I haven't seen that anywhere else. I haven't seen that in any other community. Even companies try to make it seem like family, but it doesn't seem that way. Because I think there was a big aspect as far as there's an exchange, and there's an exchange of time for money. And so that makes it hard to have that relationship as a family, because that it is all about a business, and realize that it is an exchange of time and money. Or if you come from a different place, because normally any job starts out that way, right? You essentially try to get hired on for a skill that you have, and realize that you will get paid for your experience. And so that initial mindset is already set. Or if you come in the community, it is different. You come in the community because you want to give, you want to help, you want to learn, and they in turn want to do the same. It's not saying every community is like that. Some communities are, people can be a lot more greedier. And I myself, I've tried to do something that gives back the most. That's why I've started Discover Ignite, and why I continue to do it, to help kind of help pave the way and show you what I've done, and allow you to use that as a model to model your life, or use it as a tool. Ultimately, is what I'm trying to say, because you have to realize that everybody's life is so different. We all come from different walks of life, and it's extremely important that people have never walked in your shoes. And so you can't place judgments or anything else on the other person, because you have in turn not walked in their shoes. You don't know what struggles and adversity they have overcome. You don't know where they're coming. You don't have their knowledge, their skill sets that you have. And again, in turn, that they don't know anything about you and where you come from. And so you have to approach a lot of different things like that. In this year, I've really found that everybody does look out for yourself. And I talk about this a lot, about self first. And it is important to make sure, like health wise, that you are good, like mentally and physically you are solid. Once that is good, right, you need to be giving more. And I'm not saying giving by going out and spending money or doing all these other things. What I'm talking about is being genuinely nice to people and interested in what people are doing. Because a lot of times what I've noticed, especially being on social media, is people will put things out there, and we base a lot of different things on likes and stuff like that. And so people will be like, oh, well, at least the likes, people care. But ultimately, if you say more than just a like, and you say a word, and you actually ask questions to their statements, or get thoroughly involved in what they're doing, right? People enjoy that a lot more than just a like, than just being ignored. Or, yeah, that's great, I already know that. Do you really? Because we don't, even though you may have some knowledge on some particular subject, you have to realize that people have a different way of learning. Everybody has learned differently. There may be similarities, but very different. And so they may have an angle that you don't have. And they can perhaps something you may be doing for 15 years, you thought was the perfect way to do it. And someone has been doing it for 6 months, and yet they have found an angle uh, because of their background that makes it your process that took 20 minutes. It takes 5 minutes now. And so you're like, wow, thank you. Thank you for showing me that, and being accepting, and realize that, you can learn from other people. You have to be open to that. And even for myself, I have to correct myself sometimes, because I know a lot of times when I start talking to someone, I just kind of like brain dump like everything I learned. And I try not to seem like a person that, oh yeah, I know everything. I do not know everything. And I am not perfect by any means. But a lot of times, I'll start talking about something, and then just everything comes out. And for those people who have had conversations with me, I do apologize. That's just the way I am. I brain dump, because for a long time as a kid, I was told that, if you don't have anything smart to say, you just don't say it at all. So it's kind of like, well, I didn't say anything for a long time. I observed a lot. And that's the way I am in any situation that I go in, is I observe a lot. And I try to understand, especially if it's a new space. I want to learn the space, and so I see, um, you know, the way, especially people's boundaries are important, and I look at the way what people have learned, and I try to grab every aspect of what people have learned and try to formulate it into a style that works for me, because that is how we all learn. This is how we all work. Is that you have to get different aspects of different people's perspectives and tools and techniques, and realize that this helps mold into who your own style, your own desire to want to go out and make the changes that you want in your life. And you have to realize that you do need to get out, and you do need to be in communities of people, and that helps. And nowadays it's so much easier, because now you have the internet, and realize that if you can immerse yourself in these communities, especially if they're good and solid communities, and something you're really thoroughly and passionate. Now, I'm not just talking about, you can really thoroughly enjoy a particular skill, like say art, and then you go and you say, okay, well, I want to start doing NFTs on this blockchain, but I don't really enjoy the community. You have to realize that there's other communities out there. You just have to find the community that works for you, and start working in that community, giving back to that community that you feel deserves your time and attention, because we all are under a time constraint, and you want to be in a place where you can expand your thoughts and ideas and foster in that space. And if there is restriction in any way along the journey, and you need to realize that you need to dump things if they are not working out to your desire. Right? There are people that get caught up in other things, and things in the past, or specific events, and they feel like everybody is out there to get them, or just because you're nice to me, like you're out to get something. And that's not always the case. And I know, probably, sadly, the statistics are probably pretty bad, where people are out for themselves. But if you can come at it differently, and just be kind, and be nice, and be genuine about it, without anything backing it, and people are surprised of that, and there's not enough of that. And you realize that by just doing this, by being grateful for the things that you do have, and showing kindness, and being genuine, that other people, that your year will be better because of that. So you're starting to create something through desire, something through this thought, this idea that, hey, I really thoroughly enjoy this, and so I'm going to continue this. I'm going to find the community that helps me foster this. And then you realize that by doing this, you start developing a year like you've never seen before, because it's more than just self. It's more than just self. And the older I get, the more I realize that, you find the right community of people, you really enjoy it. You really enjoy where you're at. You really enjoy that state of mind. And again, you have to realize that this state is not always permanent. It's not just an on-off switch. It is continuously maintaining it. You are only good as you are today. And this is why I say, yes, you should have plans for the future. You should know next steps, but you shouldn't plan everything out. Plans fail. To an extent, they work. You should have some sort of blueprints, yes. But ultimately, intuition will guide you. You have to start. You have to take the action and realize that in the action is where the change happens. Sitting back and coasting, you will not find what you're looking for. You only continually get what you've already been given. It is in the action and going out and doing the thing that allows you to achieve the things that you want. And in the action, and sometimes I can tell you that sometimes timing is really bad on things, and timing will never be perfect. You have to realize that, but with patience and being persistent, you can definitely achieve the things that you want. And for myself, like, there are a lot of times I become impatient. I try to be as patient as I can on a lot of things. And sometimes I need to reiterate to myself, okay, listen, Marcus, like, you have to give it more time. You have to be patient. You have to keep yourself in check. Am I taking enough action? If I'm not taking enough action, how can I expect something like this to happen? And then realize that, when I talk about going after and seeking curiosity and finding other things, like the NFT thing was kind of like, well, I'm doing so much already. How could I really squeeze that in? And then it's like, you do a little bit. You can squeeze in a little bit. You can squeeze in 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and you realize that it's 30 an hour, 50 minutes, or a couple hours, and you realize that, man, I did have time for this. It's all about your priorities. But if you find the thing that brings you great joy, why would you not continue to do it? Don't be basing your decision off of what other people think. And a lot of times people are very hesitant and don't do the thing that they want because they feel like they may feel like they're too nerdy to do it. They may feel like they may be judged to do it. And it's like, why not? Why not? Who cares? If I fail, I fail, but I did it on my terms. You can sit, you can judge me, you can go sit up in the stands for all I care, right? I don't care if you're going to sit in the stands and scream and yell about how I'm doing in the arena and how I am going to try to make change myself. Because I will get out there and I will take the hits, I will take the lashings if I need to get to where I want and to live life the way I want to, and not the way I was told that it needs to be lived. Because a lot of people are afraid of that, and some people don't want to hear that, and people will run away and people will judge you. That is the biggest thing. Is I get so tired about why people judge other people, and why I let off this whole podcast is essentially saying that, everybody comes from different walks of life. Everybody's learned differently. Everybody's learned to tie shoes differently. Everybody's learned to make a bowl of cereal differently. Some people don't even have cereal. Some people have other breakfasts. Everybody learns things differently, and they compile the things that they've learned throughout the years to create the person that they are, and they continue to build their life that way. And so your thoughts, perspectives, and ideas, although they can be helpful or they can be damaging, but you have to let that person choose. You don't force that opinion on somebody else. And in doing this and being grateful in learning and discovering with other people and networking with the right people, you really create a world where it is peaceful, where it is the place you really want to be. So in the beginning of the year, when you thought, well, I just wanted to lose a couple pounds, or I just wanted to do this and do that, well, maybe I should have joined a community and realized that this is a lifelong choice. It's a lifelong choice to be grateful, to be genuinely happy for other people, to not judge people. It's not saying it's going to completely just go away. You have to correct yourself and realize, okay, take a step back. Am I doing the right thing here? Right? And try to see other people's perspective as opposed to just your own. Yes, you should have those things. You should have boundaries. You should have all those things. It's very delicate in the way you approach it, but you have to understand that you still need to take other people's thoughts and ideas in consideration, on your movement, your navigation. It's not saying you let people walk over you. You navigate correctly. And again, it is a very fine-tuned thing that you have to continue to monitor and progress in. But by doing this and getting in these communities and getting involved, and you realize maybe the first 3 communities are just horrible and I hate them, keep going. You have to realize the first couple ones just won't work, and just keep going. But you'll find your place. You'll find your niche. You'll find your happy spot. And you'll maintain that. And then possibly you'll come across something else and you'll go and you'll change directions. We have to understand that we are human and this is what we do. We desire change. What you may plan at the beginning of the year will change by the next 4 or 5 months with the new information that you get or new events that come up in your life in general. Life is short. Again, time is very critical on a lot of different things. You have to understand that. But you can't sit back. You have to take the action to be able to do the things that you want. There is no perfect time. There's no perfect plan. There's no perfect setup. You start, you be patient, let it play out in your favor.